Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. We are back with a glossary of legal terms. Our first phrase for today is lux situs. Lux situs is a principle in a private international law stating that property is governed by the law of the place where it is situated. It applies particularly to immovable property like land and buildings. For movable property, the situs may depend on the physical or deemed location. This ensures clarity and predictability in a cross-border property disputes. Lux situs is fundamental to resolving jurisdictional conflicts in a property law. The next term is nonage. Nonage is the legal term referring to a person being under the age of majority. Individuals in nonage lack a full legal capacity to enter into binding contracts or perform certain acts. Contracts made during nonage are often voidable at the minor's option. This principle protects minors from exploitation or imprudent agreements. Legal systems specify different age thresholds for different rights and responsibilities. The next phrase is ex-trade regulation. Ex-trade regulation refers to a rule or policy governing a particular form of trade, often cross-border or specialized trade. It ensures fairness, compliance with the safety standards, and prevents market abuse. These regulations are typically enforced by government trade authorities. Violations can result in fines, sanctions, or revocation of trading licenses. They are crucial for maintaining trust in commercial markets. The next term is martial sale. A martial sale is a public auction of property seized under a court order or judgment. The sale satisfies debt, liens, or judgments. The process must follow legal requirements for notice and bidding. Buyers receive a deed or title upon purchase. Proceeds are used to pay creditors in order of priority. The next phrase is open-ended agreement. An open-ended agreement is a contract that it does not specify a fixed end date or quantity. It continues until terminated by either party according to the terms provided. Such agreements are common in supply, service, and employment contracts. They offer flexibility but require clear termination clauses to avoid disputes. Courts may imply reasonable limits to prevent unfairness. The next phrase is next friend. A next friend is a person who represents someone unable to represent themselves in legal proceedings, such as a minor or mentally incapacitated person. They are not a formal guardian but act in the best interests of the represented party. Courts must approve the next friend's standing. The role ensures access to justice for vulnerable persons. Next friends may be held accountable for acting responsibly. The next phrase is labor dispute. A labor dispute is any conflict between employers and employees regarding terms of employment. It may involve strikes, lockouts, wage demands, or working conditions. Labor laws provide mechanisms for conciliation, mediation, and adjudication of such disputes. Timely resolution prevents disruption of production and public inconvenience. Labor disputes highlight the balance between management prerogatives and worker rights. The next phrase is Professional license. A professional license is an authorization granted by a regulatory authority to practice a specific profession. It ensures that practitioners meet the required educational, ethical, and competency standards. Professions like medicine, law, and engineering often require licenses. The license protects the public by maintaining quality and accountability. It may be revoked for misconduct or incompetence. The next phrase is writ of entry. A writ of entry is a legal order used to recover possession of land or property wrongfully withheld. It is an ancient common law remedy still relevant in some jurisdictions for real estate disputes. The writ authorizes the rightful owner to regain entry under court supervision. It applies when unlawful occupation or denial of access occurs. It safeguards property rights through judicial enforcement. The next phrase is grounds for appeal. Grounds for appeal are the legal reasons why a party requests a higher court to review a lower court's decision. Common grounds include errors of law, procedural mistakes, or newly discovered evidence. The appellate court examines whether the lower court's ruling was fair and legally correct. Not all appeals are automatically accepted. They must be based on valid grounds. Successful appeals can lead to reversal, modification, or retrial. The next phrase is heir apparent. An heir apparent is the person first in line to inherit a title, estate, or throne whose right cannot be displaced by the birth of another heir. Unlike an heir presumptive, their claim is certain if they outlive the holder. The term is common in inheritance and a royal succession. Legal disputes may still arise over capacity or legitimacy. It provides certainty for succession planning. The next phrase is Bill of Attainder. A Bill of Attainder is a legislative act that declares a person or group guilty of a crime and imposes punishment without a judicial trial. Such acts historically allowed governments to target political opponents or perceived enemies. They are prohibited in many constitutions as violations of separation of powers and a due process. The prohibition ensures that only courts can determine guilt and impose penalties. The concept remains a critical safeguard against legislative overreach. The next phrase is next of kin. Next of kin refers to the closest living relatives of a person under law. It is important in inheritance, consent for medical treatment, and decision-making in the absence of a will. The order of next of kin is usually determined by statutes of succession. They may have rights and responsibilities concerning burial or estate matters. The term ensures clarity in a legal and a medical context. The next phrase is security for cause. Security for cause is a sum of money or guarantee ordered by a court to ensure a party can pay legal costs if they lost the case. It protects defendants from frivolous or vexatious litigation. Courts order it particularly when the plaintiff is outside the jurisdiction or has doubtful financial means. If security is not provided, the case may be stayed or dismissed. It balances access to justice with a protection from abuse. The next term is nonagenarian, legal capacity context. A nonagenarian is a person between 90 and 99 years old, and in law, their capacity to act is assessed like any other adult. Age alone does not disqualify them from making contracts, wills, or legal decisions. However, courts may scrutinize transactions involving very elderly persons for signs of undue influence or incapacity. Medical evidence may be considered to confirm soundness of mind. Legal systems seek to balance autonomy with a protection against exploitation. The next phrase is retention of title. Retention of title is a contractual clause allowing a seller to retain ownership of goods until full payment is made. It protects sellers if buyers become insolvent before completing payment. This clause is common in commercial transactions and secures the seller's interest. The buyer usually has a possession but not a legal title until payment is completed. It reduces the risk of loss for the seller in credit sales. The next phrase is opposition to claim. Opposition to claim is a formal challenge raised against a legal claim, demand, or petition. It allows an interested party to contest the validity or enforceability of the claim. This is common in probate, intellectual property, and civil litigation. The opponent must provide reasons and evidence for the objection. Courts evaluate both sides before granting or rejecting the original claim. The next phrase is bond for deed. A bond for deed is a type of real estate contract where the buyer takes possession and makes installment payments, but the seller retains legal title until payment is complete. Once fully paid, the deed is transferred to the buyer. This arrangement benefits buyers who cannot obtain immediate financing. It also secures the seller's interest in case of default. It is sometimes called a contract for deed or installment land contract. The next phrase is associate judge. An associate judge is a judicial officer who serves alongside other judges in a court, often with a limited or specialized jurisdiction. They may handle preliminary hearings, routine cases, or assist in higher courts under the direction of senior judges. Their authority depends on the structure of the judiciary in a particular legal system. They contribute to the efficiency of courts by reducing workload. Associate judges play a vital role in ensuring timely justice. The next term is inventory, probate. In a probate law, inventory is the detailed list of a deceased person's assets and their liabilities prepared by the executor. It includes property, bank accounts, investments, and debts. The inventory helps courts determine estate value for distribution and taxation. It must be accurate and sworn under oath. It ensures fair settlement of the estate.